Welcome to Front Row. Top news in the Virgin Islands is told only by JTV on the Front Row today. Hear what the European Union is saying about the effects of Brexit on UK overseas territories. Legislators pick apart border security contract report. The Virgin Islands is facing a gun violence crisis, says Mrs. Berlin Scatliff Leonard. And closing in on her 3 years anniversary of being with Virgin Gorda Villa Rentals, Mrs. Sharon Flax Brutus makes a major accomplishment. Hear the details when we return.
We know that where you choose to bank matters, and it is your vote on what your funds do in strengthening our community. As your official Bank of Paradise, we invest and support the lifeblood of our economy by helping in the realization of personal goals for homeownership, education, and entrepreneurial visions, which support small businesses. We make it our place to connect with persons and worthy causes, and we have been doing so for more than 30 years. Where your money goes and what your dollars empower are your choice. And we thank you for choosing us, a bank that gives where it matters the most, for you, for our community, and a happier tomorrow. The National Bank of the Virgin Islands.
Everyone looks to the future, but no one truly knows what the future holds.
The number of people under the age of 20 with type 2 diabetes could increase by 49% by 2050. Let it be known that we all have a 30% chance of developing hypertension.
Globally, more than 300 million people of all ages suffer from depression.
More than 60,000 young adults aged 20 to 39 are diagnosed with cancer each year. Obesity leads to problems such as stroke, heart disease, and kidney failure.
No matter your race, age, or color, we are all at risk.
These diseases can be managed or prevented if caught early.
But with the right medicine and the right doctors to keep us on a path to live a robust and healthy life,
we will live well.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.
Plug into Digicel Plus and get even more entertainment with Disney Plus included. The best of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic all in one place. Whenever you want, plug into Plus to enjoy Disney Plus and much more with a home fiber bundle. Sign up today. Digicel Plus.
Welcome back for the news in details. The Virgin Islands is facing a gun violence crisis, says Mrs. Perlene Scatliff-Leonard, a devastating situation facing especially District 7, the district she is pursuing to become its legislative representative.
We continue to fight with the realization that gun violence is escalating and poses long-term consequences for future generations. We must do more to end gun violence in our Virgin Islands because we can no longer bear the news of another one of our precious sons perishing, ultimately on our soil. There is no denying that we are in a gun violence crisis.
She says stronger partnerships are needed among stakeholders.
And we must be more proactive in implementing strategies to target and prevent further gun violence. Gun violence is not an isolated problem because guns do more to the territory than injure or kill its citizens. Think of the domino effect that goes way beyond the families who lost a loved one, the financial impact on the families of the victims, the community at large, and tourism, to name a few. The repercussions that will affect our economy and image are many.
Put down the weapons, she says, as she insists that parents need to do a better job at parenting.
Put your weapons down. Parents, we have an awesome responsibility to help guide and mold our youths. We need to know where our children are hanging out, who are their friends, what they are doing, what they are watching on television, and most of all, to reassure them that we love them. I am concerned about how numb our territory has become regarding gun violence. Personal views and politics must be put aside, and a conscious effort must be made across every community in this territory to speak out against gun violence.
What are her recommendations?
It is time to change the culture of violence and strengthen our policies to stop it. We must take a united stand. This is a territorial effort. We must be proactive, not reactive, in preventing violence in this territory while creating a safer BVI. How do we do this? Recognize that gun violence is critical but preventable with everyone's input. Reduce access to firearms. Enhance community support through the creation of intervention programs, youth employment, etc. We must identify and implement solutions. Law enforcers must continue to build trust by developing relationships with the community. Expand the provision of social, emotional, and mental health support for everyone. And greater community support for families, especially mothers with young children. Private corporations, we need your full support.
In speaking directly to the people of Districts 7 and 8, she had this to say.
We recognize that you have a social corporate responsibility within our territory, and we ask that you join forces with us to address gun violence in this territory. To my people in the 7th District, and by extension the 8th District, we have a big issue on our hands, and it will take a cohesive effort to arrive at an acceptable solution. My heart aches for the youth in these districts. We need our future farmers, engineers, fisher folks, pilots, doctors, farmers, pastors, and the list goes on here with us. Not tucked away in the Greenland Cemetery or other cemeteries. We have heard of students pulling toy guns and adults pulling real guns on each other. And while it may be funny to some, I wish to alert us all that those situations are an indication of what we can expect soon. This is serious.
Mrs. Scatliff Leonard is best known as a cultural icon, a strong woman of religious faith in her district, and to the territory, she's best known as the Director of Water and Sewage up until her retirement in January of 2023. Today, she is an independent candidate in this year's general elections soon to be called. With this JTV News Update, Kathy Richards. When the United Kingdom decided to sever ties with the European Union, Brexit, it has always been a concern for the overseas territories, and the EU is saying it just as they see it.
For me, I must admit, somehow bittersweet moment. It is in the first place a sweet moment, sweet because we are here to celebrate the great work that has been done by the community itself, but also by the contractor and companies, with the great support and leadership of the Pan American Health Organization and personalities from BVI that are here with us today. And this is indeed a great achievement. This is the third in a series of handovers that we have celebrated this week, and that demonstrates the scope and success of the cooperation to advance development and reduce vulnerabilities in the face of the global climate crisis. This was indeed what prompted the EU to act in the wake of Hurricanes Irma and Maria with a comprehensive support package to the region. This initiative included rebuilding and refurbishing a number of community centers in BVI as shelters against hurricanes. But it is just one example of many initiatives that the EU has supported over the last decades in BVI and other British overseas territories. And that is certainly for me the slightly bitter part of the event, because in a certain way it marks the end of cooperation with the EU in the way that we had been accustomed to. Brexit has brought this cooperation to an end. The EU will no longer be in a position to cooperate with the British overseas territories the way we did in the past. And that is certainly something sad, for us at least. We are all aware of the negative consequences that Brexit had for the UK, the reduced economic growth, more red tape for small and medium-sized companies, the tensions in Ireland. But what is sometimes forgotten is, at least for the broad public, that it also has these impacts on OTCs, and that Brexit has also been a very, very sad story for the EU. We have lost an important and much appreciated member of the family. Brexit certainly cuts, or has cut already, many ties between the EU and the UK. And this is something that we deeply regret. So in this sense, the event of today is just a powerful reminder for us, for me, of what we can achieve together.
However, all is not lost.
Yesterday, the UK and the EU reached an important agreement regarding Ireland. And we truly hope that this was just the first in a series of new agreements, and that in the not so far away future, we will be able to rebuild the wonderful relations that we have built over the years with the UK, and especially with many UK OTCs. So in this sense, I finish with the wish that this might not have been our last cooperation, and that the future holds more for us.
Over the years, and most recently after hurricanes devastated the territory in 2017, the European Union has been a constant aid to the Virgin Islands.
During the 2017 hurricanes, several community centers across the Virgin Islands were significantly impacted. We have been working as a government and together with our partners to restore our community centers and to adhere to modern requirements. The European Union has been one of our key development partners on this important initiative. The EU has provided the funding. The Pan American Health Organization has provided technical oversight for implementing this project. The contract for this community center was awarded to a joint venture between Lawrence Wheatley Construction and Accurate Construction, and works commenced on the 4th of October 2021. The Virgin Islands was fortunate to receive a grant from the EU in the amount of €2 million to repair some of the community centers damaged by the hurricanes. The centers that benefited from the EU's grant funding are the West End Community Center, the Valerie O. Thomas Community Center in Seacows Bay, the Gertrude and Christina Warner Community Center in Purcell Estate, and this community center, the Emile Dunlap Community Center in Anegada. Of course, persons would recall that in November 2021, we saw the handing over of the West End Community Center. This means that all 4 community center projects under this EU grant have been delivered. The EU has been a very consistent and supportive development partner of the Virgin Islands for over 3 decades, and for this, we in the Virgin Islands are grateful. In addition to the funding received for repairs to the 4 community centers mentioned above, the EU has also provided the Virgin Islands with grant funding from the 11th European Development Fund to the Resilience, Sustainable Energy, Marine Biodiversity, and Climate Resilience programs. The Virgin Islands has also benefited from EU funding in the past for a number of projects, including the terminal building at the Beef Island Airport, now Terence Beale International Airport, the Ace Lavity Stout Community College Library and Auditorium Building, and the HLSCC Culinary Arts Building. The Regional Disaster Risk Reduction Project, to which the Government of the Virgin Islands through the Department of Disaster Management benefited tremendously. The Regional Small Micro Enterprise Project, where the Department of Trade and many businesses in the Virgin Islands saw immense benefits. Repairs to the copper mine ruins in Virgin Gorda, and the construction and completion of the visitor center at Mount Sage. Sadly, one of the effects of Brexit is that the Resembid project will be the last opportunity for the Virgin Islands to receive direct funding for development assistance through the European Union. Through the Premier's Office, the Government of the Virgin Islands looks forward to a continued working relationship with the EU as a development partner.
This is at the Emile Dunlap Community Center dedication ceremony at Anegada on Tuesday, February 28, 2023. Leader of the Opposition, a representative of District 3, Honorable Julian Fraser, said in the House of Assembly on March 2, 2023,
"But I do know that looking on the surface from what I'm seeing, $2.5 million, 5 months, $738,000, 2 months of non-activity. There has to be more to that story, Madam Speaker. There has to be more."
Honorable Fraser was one of those who debated the Auditor General's report on COVID-19 border security contracts for static marine platforms, one he said lacks sufficient information.
Higginbottom came here and he did a commission of inquiry, and it went across every possible rule and laws in this country. Cabinet decisions, cabinet minutes are private and personal only to the ministers, the members, and the chairman. But he didn't only get access to those, Madam Speaker, he also published them. Members of the House of Assembly, declaration of interest is private, sealed. He didn't only get access to it, Madam Speaker, but he made it public. And in their eyes, it's transparency, it's public business, so there's nothing wrong with it. Okay, where is the Chilwell side of this report? Isn't that supposed to be public too? Isn't that supposed to make the report balanced? You got a public out there, Madam Speaker. 99.9% are the good and decent people. Did I say 99.9? Well, 0.1%, which is more than enough, is too much, are mischievous people. And nothing about this report, or nothing that was done with those floating vessels, nothing was good. Nothing. Everything about it was bad. That's what they're going to say, that 1%. Oh, no, I'm sorry, 0.1%. And the reason for that, I don't have the information. None of us here have the information, and certainly no one out on the street has it. And that's a disservice. I think, Madam Speaker, that we should make laws that determine what is fair. What is fair, Madam Speaker, is when you write a report, it should be balanced. First, it should be truthful. And second, it should be balanced.
The fixes, he said, can be done through the Public Accounts Committee, but that too has its challenges.
I think that the Premier or any other minister who's bringing a report here from the Auditor General should have the right to say, I'm not bringing it, because something isn't right. I need more information. And another thing too, that's why the Public Accounts Committee could be useful. But then how could the Public Accounts Committee could be useful in an instance like this when that same Public Accounts Committee has in it, through the standing orders, that the Auditor General is the advisor to the Public Accounts Committee? How do you advise a committee who's investigating a report that you see that you wrote, and you advise in the committee? You see how this whole thing is so, it's in its infancy. It needs to be developed and developed properly in order to give justice to our people. And another thing too, I mean, the Public Accounts Committee should have public hearings. So the public could know.
Also debating this report was Representative for District 9, Honorable Vincent O. Wheatley, who dwelled a bit on this point.
The executive summary, E10. Easy Shipping Limited was paid a total of $738,000 for the period 26 November 2020 to 21st January 2021, when the barges were not being used by the government. At face value, Madam Speaker, it is quite troubling. But again, unless you knew, we're only saying one side. Madam Speaker, I could reserve or rent a car and don't pick it up, or a hotel room. Or they will charge you. If you reserve that, it's up to you whether you use it or not. Sometimes you want a room there just in case. Just in case you may have a room there. Maybe you want to freshen up if you feel like freshening up. But you have the room there just in case. It happens. Is that a case with the badge? You see, Madam Speaker, the reason why I find that particular entry there annoying is because we have so many examples where persons have done work and can't get the money. Verifiable work. From Enigara to just when like meet somebody every day. I did this road for government back in 2015. I sold this concrete back there. I had some catering back here. Every single day, verifiable things, and these persons can't get paid. And here we are saying, somebody got paid. And we're not talking about $700. $738,000. You want us to believe that somebody got paid that money and nothing was for no service? I have a serious problem with that, Madam Speaker.
Now, according to Minister for Natural Resources and Labor, Honorable Melvin Mitchell Turnbull, things went wrong from the early stages.
But the Premier at that time says he refused the offer to assistance from the UK military intervention, stating that he preferred to use local resources. The following day, on May 6, 2020, the government received a proposal from the local company offering to provide the badges to assist with the border security. This proposal led to the government spending $2.04 million on private marine platforms over a 5-month period. Now, Madam Speaker, I know this Minister of Finance here and Premier. I have never heard him promote himself to be head of customs or have any expertise in border management and security. So I want to know how you go from one day to the next and there's an automatic proposal on the way, led by the same Premier. I guess he was, he had, at that time, Madam Speaker, he had taken a lot of responsibility for ministries and different things. So I guess he was the jack of all trades and master of none. We had the opportunity, Madam Speaker, to make a decision that would further assist. I am not in any way saying that the UK Medway, HM Medway alone would have been able to do all that was necessary. And even, Madam Speaker, if the use of the platforms from Easy Shipping, together with the use of the boats that were used from the marine industry that were put together, if all were working together, Madam Speaker, then we were doing what we would have needed to be done to further secure our borders. But, Madam Speaker, we cannot ignore the fact that we're talking about $2 million. When I stood, I think it was in 2016 or 2017, Madam Speaker, to note that between Customs and the Royal Virgin Islands Police Force, I think we could have get some vessels for this. We could have get some support. And if we had engaged the resources that were made available from the UK, together with the resources that were made available and even utilized from the neighboring U.S. Virgin Islands, Madam Speaker, I think we would have been better placed.
The Premier at the time was Andrew A. Foy. Mrs. Sharon Flax Brutus stood as a testimony before a group of women on Saturday, February 25, 2023. She left them with this point to ponder.
I won't change anything that I have been through in my life. When you're going through it, you're like going, why me? Lord, why have you forsaken me? I think I'm a good person, But I think he put some of those things in your way to test you and to see if you are ready for the blessing. Because sometimes you look at it as a disappointment and you can't understand why.
It was the occasion of a WIN BVI organization's Royal Retreat, Virgin Gorda Leg, an event designed to empower women. It was there that Mrs. Flax Brutus broke news of a major accomplishment of hers, being made a 50% managing partner of Villa Rentals.
About 3 years ago, when I had my issues with the BVI Tourist Board, and I'm the type of person who believes in standing on principle, and it just got to be too much, and I walked away. I decided to walk away, and then they decided, well, you know what, we want you to walk away sooner. And I got on the boat, I came home, I cried. I think I must have cried in a way for maybe about 2 or 3 months, because I said to myself, I think I did well for the BVI. I tried my best, and I cannot understand. What I didn't realize that the Lord was setting me up for something else. Today, I can say that 2 weeks ago, I said to my boss, I said I want to have a meeting with you. Because I'm like going, geez, I've been working like a dog for the last 2 years, and I need to get a raise. And we sat down, and she said to me, it's been a rough 2 years. I'm expecting her to say there's no raise coming, so don't even ask. and she said to me, you know, I'm getting older, and you are so committed to tourism and to this business that I am now going to make you a partner. I said a partner, but I don't have any money to be a partner. She said, you don't need money to be my partner. All you need is passion, and you need whatever it is that I have seen in the last 2 years. You are now a 50% partner.
In a subsequent press release, it was said that given Mrs. Flax Brutus' demonstrated wealth of experience and proven aptitude, it was fitting when, despite her start during the peak of the plunge triggered by the COVID-19 pandemic, she managed to spearhead wins such as a complete sold-out inventory of villas during the height of the pandemic. Virgin Gorda Villa Rentals manages a portfolio of over 30 luxury villas in Virgin Gorda, here in the British Virgin Islands. Mrs. Flax Brutus has served as director of the BVI Tourist Board for more than 7 years until her resignation in May of 2020. She was announced the director of operations of Virgin Gorda Villa Rentals in July of 2020, the very year. That will do it for this edition of Front Row. Top news in the Virgin Islands is told only by JTV. Remember to follow us as well on Facebook at JTV Channel 55 and on YouTube at Jahphix Television JTV. I'm Kathy Richards. Thank you so much for joining us.
We know that where you choose to bank matters, and it is your vote on what your funds do in strengthening our community. As your official Bank of Paradise, we invest and support the lifeblood of our economy by helping in the realization of personal goals for homeownership, education, and entrepreneurial visions, which support small businesses. We make it our place to connect with persons and worthy causes, and we have been doing so for more than 30 years. Where your money goes and what your dollars empower are your choice. And we thank you for choosing us, a bank that gives where it matters the most, for you, for our community, and a happier tomorrow. The National Bank of the Virgin Islands.
Everyone looks to the future, but no one truly knows what the future holds.
The number of people under the age of 20 with type 2 diabetes could increase by 49% by 2050. Let it be known that we all have a 30% chance of developing hypertension.
Globally, more than 300 million people of all ages suffer from depression.
More than 60,000 young adults aged 20 to 39 are diagnosed with cancer each year. Obesity leads to problems such as stroke, heart disease, and kidney failure.
No matter your race, age, or color, we are all at risk.
These diseases can be managed or prevented if caught early.
But with the right medicine and the right doctors to keep us on a path to live a robust and healthy life,
we will live well.
There are many ways to enjoy life, like so many ways to count on Popular.
Plug into Digicel Plus and get even more entertainment with Disney Plus included. The best of Disney, Pixar, Marvel, Star Wars, and National Geographic all in one place. Whenever you want, plug into Plus to enjoy Disney Plus and much more with a home fiber bundle. Sign up today. Digicel Plus.